Hi, it's me. We haven't chatted for a while. Times have been tough, haven't they? I got to thinking about all this isolation that we're going through, which is rough on a lot of people, including most of my clients and myself too. Even when you think of yourself as being an introvert, you don't really understand mm, how much you need people until you're forced to be isolated, as many of us have. Um, Many people do not understand actually the difference between an introvert and an extrovert. You can still enjoy being out and having people and all that good stuff. It just means that an introvert, in order to really recoup themselves, needs to be alone. That doesn't mean you're not being social. It just needs you need to go inside yourself. An extrovert, on the other hand, uh, needs people in order to recoup and make themselves feel good. Has not necessarily, you can be shy and be an extrovert or an introvert. But back to loneliness, I have a little ADD, if you haven't figured that out yet. So I get off the subject. There goes that squirrel. So we think of, we don't, no, none of us like to be lonely. I don't think anybody likes to be lonely. We are pack animals. That's what man is. We're a pack animal. We weren't meant to be by ourselves. And people keep telling you it's perfectly all right, that it's okay to be alone. And yes, it is. It is. But it's also, we can stop feeling bad about ourselves and guilty because we don't like being alone. So especially the women's groups, they keep telling you if you don't have a mate, that life is perfectly good. Well, for some people it is, okay, but for some people it's not, and that's hard to deal with for many. Uh, if you are one of those people who are inclined to need what you get from a partnership, and you can anybody can be lonely in a crowd. Uh, and certainly nowadays, with all of the things that we can connect with Meetup and Instagram and Facebook and God knows all the other things there are, uh, we certainly can connect. And connect is a word that the younger people like to use, and we do. We make connections. We connect, and we can have. God, how many people don't have on mailing lists? Hundreds. I have hundreds of names of people that I can connect with. Doesn't have anything to do with whether I'm lonely or not, because that is being alone. Being alone is not the same as being lonely. Well, when we're alone, it's often pleasurable. You can read, you can do this, you can watch the TV, you can soak in the bathtub, you can get away from all the stimulation that's in your life, and that can be very recuperative. But loneliness is a different thing, and it has nothing to do with being alone. What it is about intimacy. We need someone to be intimate with, and intimacy is very difficult for many people. Numerous reasons. Usually comes from our childhood. Because in order to be intimate with someone, you have to be vulnerable. And that can be very frightening. Some people don't have much of a problem with it, others do. But the more sensitive you are, the more tactile, the more what's deeper that you go in spirituality, and the less material you are, intimacy can be even more needed, especially for tactile people. Um, so it's that feeling that we have, that we can share our fears and our needs and our old stories, and not be judged. We can be accepted for who we are. And you may have close friends and you may have close family, and you have certainly may tell them things, but it's not the same. It's not all four of the the mental vulnerability, the physical, the spiritual. Uh, that's can only be done really with some kind of partner. That's what distinguishes that, because you can't give that many pieces of yourself out. We give each person that's in our life, uh, we give them a different part of us. We might give them a lot of us, big section of it. But what most people are looking for when they say they're lonely is that intimacy, which can, doesn't have to include sexuality, but often it does, especially for men. Um, that that we have with a same sex, opposite sex partner. It's the intimacy, that closeness of and trust, and that you can be vulnerable, that they have your back, um, that you want to share all of your feelings with them. And contrary to what we're being told all the time, uh, there's nothing wrong with wanting that. I get tired of being told that as a female, I'm supposed to own my own stuff and I don't need anybody else, and I certainly don't need a man to do that. Well, yeah, I do. I don't know about you, but I do. And I can survive. I certainly can get along without it. I have. But that's not the optimum. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit and tell you it's okay to feel that way. Things may be such that you can't get that need met, but you don't have to go beating yourself over the head because you want that in this culture that we have that is so opposite word of misogyny. This world that we have, where women are saying so often, we don't need men in our lives, and making them feel guilty and bad about themselves. We're going to create ourselves, a monster. I'm telling you guys. Um, no, not. It's going to come back to bite us in the ass. The pendulum has swung 180, and we need to do something about that. And the only people that are going to change that are women, not men. Uh, um, like it so happens when people have been persecuted, they become the persecutor. So if we don't like all the things that have been done to us uh, over the years, then we need to stop doing some of the things that we are doing. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong to stand up against oppression, to stand up against abuse. We have to do that, but we need to be fair, because we're going to end up being lonely, and that is not a particularly comfortable place to be. Something to think about. Okay, I'll think of something else to talk about. Talk to you later.